So your ex-girlfriend has finally reached out to you during the no contact phase and she wants to get back together. And after all the work you've done and after all the effort of staying away, you're very excited. And that's a normal reaction, right? Because you've been looking for this moment. You've been hoping for this moment and now it has arrived at your doorstep. Now, I want to give you three things to consider before even getting back with your ex-girlfriend. Because sometimes we can get caught in the emotions, we can get caught in the excitement. Those are perfect normal reactions. But we got to remember three things before we just jump right into the relationship. And the first thing we got to remember is, has she raised her value? You see, during this period of time, you were hurt, right? She broke your heart. She left you with nothing and said to just move on. And you had to pick up the pieces and get better as a man. You became more attractive. You raised your value. You learned your lessons from the relationship. And you simply moved on without any expectations, whether she was going to come back or leave you behind for good. Now, all of a sudden, she's back in your life. And you got to really think about this one thing. Does she provide more value? Because if she's not raising her value, if she hasn't improved, if she hasn't made strides to be a better version of herself, and she's coming back into your life, who's more valuable at this point? You or her? Are you guys on an even playing field? Because remember, a relationship takes two people to function, right? And if one party has gotten better and has made the necessary adjustments and improvements, while the other party, yeah, they moved on, but they didn't learn their lessons, they didn't raise their value, then you're going to look at her as, you know what, it's great you came back into my life, but I don't find you as attractive anymore because my value has gone up while you haven't really made the necessary adjustments. That's the first thing I would consider. The second thing you want to consider is the relationship going back to the way it used to be. Because if you guys didn't learn anything from the mistakes you both made and you guys are going to do the same thing all over again, why get back together? Because that is a waste of time for you and for her. So if there's no changes going on during this time of reconciliation, think about it this way. When you guys have friends that, you both moved on, you both grew apart, but then you came back together and it actually helped the relationship and because you guys both made improvements, what happened? You became better friends, right? So think of it that way. If the relationship isn't going to be different this time, if there's going to be no improvements and you guys are going to do the same things, you're going to have the same behaviors and you're not communicating that up front, then what are you doing, right? It's good to be excited. It's great to have her back in your life, but if there's going to be no changes, then what's the point of having a relationship again if you guys are going to have the same behaviors going on? If you guys are going to end up breaking up down the road, right? So I wouldn't recommend just jumping back in a relationship if you guys haven't talked about that yet. And the last thing I want to talk about is, did your ex girlfriend learn anything from the breakup? Because if she didn't evaluate her decisions, if she didn't look at what went wrong and learn from that experience and said, this is what I'm not going to do in a relationship next time, and she's not taking any type of accountability, she just wants to get back in your life, what are you doing? Because remember, you did all this work, you moved on from the heartbreak, you had to process everything, right? You got to grow as a man and you're better for it now. But all of a sudden, she hasn't learned anything. No, 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 no. Don't just welcome her back because I don't recommend it. Because what's going to happen is she's going to just repeat the same thing over and over again. Because if you're not going to learn from your mistakes and you're just going to jump right back in the situation, then it's going to end up with the same result. Ask her those questions. Ask her, like, hey, what did you learn from the experience? What was your perspective on it? Be upfront because she has to earn your trust again. She walked away from you, right? She broke up with you. You have to remember that. And you did all this work. You spent time by yourself. And hey, if you're talking to two or three girls while she's back in your life, keep talking to them. You got to use wisdom here. So I would just suggest that, hey, when she's back into your life, you know, be cordial. Don't be a jerk. I don't suggest that. And just see where she's at and what her intentions are. And just consider these things before you just jump right back in a relationship. And if you do these things, it's only going to benefit you and her because you guys are trying to figure things out, right? You're trying to figure out if it's worth getting back in the relationship, and you should take your time. Don't just jump right back in. Take it slow, see where our head is at. And if it's meant to be, get back in a relationship. If you've done your homework, great, jump back in. And if you rush into it, it might come back to burn you. So consider those things. Hope you guys enjoy this video today. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Love to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.